There was a time in America when we took what we wanted without thinking about consequences. But as industry polluted our air and rivers, as development destroyed our wildlife, we realized that for humanity to truly thrive, we must work with nature instead of against it. An idea that started a movement. And the foundation behind one of the greatest conservation success stories you've probably never heard of, the Magnuson-Stevens Act. In the 70s, U.S. fisheries were in crisis, and by the mid-90s, it was clear that even more needed to be done. Species were overfished, fishermen competed unsafely for dwindling resources, and fishing communities suffered.
It really was a crisis, a federal disaster, and it looked like they were going to take decades and decades to rebuild.
Really, it was a pretty dark time in the fishery. I put the net down and looked around some old spots, and it's like, man, there's nothing here. Way too many boats chasing way too few fish.
We fished when the government told us to fish, regardless of the weather, regardless of the condition of your vessel. Caused us to glut markets with fish and low prices.
And it wasn't just the species we were fishing that were harmed. Dolphins, sea turtles, and other marine life were unintentionally caught as well. So in a time of crisis, we took a hard look at the state of U.S. fisheries, and instead of taking more, we took action. In 1976, Congress passed the Magnuson-Stevens Act and laid the groundwork for a mutually beneficial relationship. In 1996 and 2006, the Act was strengthened to include stricter harvest limits. This led to an unprecedented mobilization by the federal government, fishery management councils, and fishermen to make real progress. With science-based catch limits introduced across the U.S., and with EDF's help working with fishermen to build in conservation incentives, fisheries began to recover.
You do the right thing and the ocean cooperates. It's amazing how quickly it rebounded.
Meaning fishers could go out year-round when conditions were optimal and safe.
I could go fishing when I wanted to rather than when I had to. That gave us a stable market, which increased the value of our fish. Had no idea that this would be so good for the fishery and for my business.
What used to be take everything we can became take only what we need.
As long as they are sticking to science-based limits, it works. Sustainably managed fisheries really are essential to the balance in the oceans, which is essential for life on the planet.
What was once a crisis became a partnership between humans and nature. A success for today and model for going forward. But despite our progress, more work needs to be done. Fishermen still face economic challenges, and we can make even greater conservation gains. Don't take more. Take action and support our fishermen by eating sustainable American seafood. Learn how at seafood.edf.org.